prices contain valuable information. They reflect scarcity, they reflect demand, and shifts in the marketplace all in a single number. But when governments interfere through subsidies, taxes, price controls, etc., they distort these signals. The results are shortages, surpluses, and inefficiencies. Hello, welcome to this week's Economy. I'm your host, Dr. Vance Ginn. Thank you for joining me again today. New background, trying something new. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully you enjoy it as you're watching this on YouTube or other places. Remember, you can find all the show notes at vanceginn.substack.com. Please subscribe to that as well as my newsletter, so that way you'll get it directly in your inbox whenever these come out. Got a lot to talk about. This is another one of those Econ 101, trying to get back to basic economics. I think that we're losing sight of what basic economics is all about. We really need to get to it because unfortunately, we're seeing bad policies coming out of DC, coming out of the states and local governments because we don't have a good idea of the philosophical understanding of what limited government is anymore, along with what economics is and what people are. And what we've talked about is that people act purposefully in their behavior. We've talked about trade and the interactions and transactions that happen to mutually benefit each other, or they won't happen at all. I think these are all key insights. But another key insight about economics is that prices matter. You may not think about them that much, but they really do. And it's time to set the record straight on the importance of prices. They're not just random numbers set by sellers. They're powerful signals that reflect what the market is willing to pay for goods and services across the economy, and for us to be able to exchange, or, you know what, we want to exchange. But when the government steps in through price controls, subsidies, or bailouts, those signals get distracted. This results in market confusion, unintended consequences, and long-term economic harm. In this episode, I'm going to break down why prices matter and why policymakers need to tread carefully when trying to distort the markets or intervene because they're not getting the outcomes that you want. Remember that the Let People Prosper show is a reader-supported or a listener-supported thing, so be sure to subscribe to my newsletter at vanceginn.substack.com. All right, so lesson one that I really wanted to talk about today is nothing is free. The quick lesson, nothing in life is truly free. Every decision means you give up something else. Every dollar you spent, whether by individuals or governments, comes from somewhere else as well. Nothing is free. It doesn't come off of trees or anywhere. Despite political promises, opportunity costs are real. Every choice involves trade-offs. Yet policymakers often ignore this basic economic principle. A quote here that I think is a good one and reflects what we're talking about is, quote, "That is the free lunch myth. The myth that somehow or other government can provide goods and services at nobody's expense." Might imagine who that is? Milton Friedman. Some real world examples is that opportunity cost means choosing one thing means giving up something else. It's the value of the next best alternative you forego when making any decision. Whether it's quote unquote free college to quote unquote free COVID test, the cost doesn't vanish. Usually it's paid by current taxpayers or worse, future generations. Well, this matters because the illusion of free government service is a dangerous myth. When costs are hidden or deferred, accountability disappears. Recognizing opportunity cost helps us evaluate policies more honestly and ensures we don't pass the bill to next generations. The lesson two that I wanted to talk about today is where do prices come from? Quick lesson, sellers set prices, but they don't place them in a vacuum. For the market process to work, the resulting price must reflect how much buyers value the goods or services. Prices aren't arbitrary. They're signals that emerge from the marketplace based on supply and demand. Another good quote here is that, quote, "Prices adjust to equate how much people want to buy with how much that others want to sell. And if people want to buy more than they did before, prices rise. If people want to sell more than they did before, prices fall. Supply and demand. Buyers are competing with each other. Sellers are competing with each other. The prices we observe emerge from this competition." That's by Russ Roberts from Econ Talk, which I've been listening to for years and had a great conversation with Milton Friedman. He's had a number of great ones for sure. Russ Roberts has on Econ Talk, but Milton Friedman was on in 2006, and there was actually 2 episodes because that's how long it was, right before he died. You should go check that one out as well. Some examples, though, of what we're talking about here is that prices contain valuable information. They reflect scarcity, they reflect demand, and shifts in the marketplace all in a single number. But when governments interfere through subsidies, taxes, price controls, etc., that are talked about today, they distort these signals. The results are shortages, surpluses, and inefficiencies. Consider the challenges in housing, healthcare, or education. All of these have been majorly distorted by government interference and spending and regulation, and therefore we wonder why we have problems with those and spend too much. And it's because of the government manipulation. This all matters because when prices are allowed to work freely, people respond. They conserve, innovate, and reallocate resources, doing more with less. That's not just theory, it's how the market turns scarcity into opportunity, okay? Number 3 here today, the lesson is, why do prices matter? Well, in a free market, prices coordinate millions of decisions without the need for central planners. They tell us what's scarce, what's in demand, and where resources should flow. Prices signal value, and people respond by innovating, finding better ways to reduce, trade, and serve. That's how opportunity costs turn into real opportunities. Here's another good quote. Quote, "To the despair of every economist, it seems almost impossible for most people other than trained economists to comprehend how a price system works. Reporters and TV commentators seem especially resistant to the elementary principles they supposedly imbibed in freshman economics." End quote. Again, Milton Friedman. So the real world examples here are that price distortions, such as drug price controls or green energy scam subsidies, lead to shortages, surpluses, and market dysfunction. Tariffs aren't clever negotiations, they're taxes. They raise prices on consumers, slow growth, and invite retaliation from trading partners, distorting the natural flow of supply and demand for those transactions to take place. This matters because when people are free to act in markets, guided by prices and supported by strong institutions, scarcity becomes a catalyst for innovation and abundance. Instead of scarcity mindset that calls for control or redistribution, we need a prosperity mindset, one rooted in freedom, voluntary exchange, and personal responsibility. Number 4 lesson today is applying principles today. Price controls and subsidies. The Inflation Reduction Act effectively imposed price controls on some prescription drugs. That may sound like savings, but it limits innovation by drying up funds for new treatments while inserting more bureaucracy between patients and doctors. Subsidies aren't free. They come from you, the taxpayer, and often skew incentives. In fact, they almost always do, right? Green energy advocates rightly criticize oil subsidies, but then champion subsidies for their favorite industries. This is a case of political favoritism, not sound economics. It allows politicians to pick winners and losers, try to win votes, undermining the very function of markets. Bank bailouts encourage moral hazard, signaling to firms that they can take reckless risk without consequences. A better approach is clear, market-based bankruptcy, procedures that ensure no firm is too big to fail, protecting taxpayers and promoting accountability. Trump-era tariffs have raised consumer prices and created uncertainty. That uncertainty makes it difficult for businesses to plan and price effectively, breaking down the information sharing function of a healthy price system. Other things that we could see this from and examples is in Texas, Governor Abbott recently approved at least $1.5 billion in taxpayer money for Hollywood studios to produce state-approved films over time. This policy creates short-term jobs, but no lasting benefits, diverting public funds from small businesses and ordinary Texans to wealthy entertainment corporations. On the positive side, Texas lawmakers rejected House Bill 4124, a proposal to ban interchange fees on taxes and tips. While it may have seemed narrow, it was a form of price control, and price controls rarely stay small. Left unchecked, they grow and sink the whole ship. So my final thoughts here are that prices are more than numbers, they're knowledge. As Frederick Hayek talked about, we have a knowledge problem when we don't let the coordination of markets and processes of individuals to have transactions that then allow for those prices to signal to us, kind of like a traffic signal of when you should go and when you should stop. If not, there's a lot of chaos. And in capitalism, free market capitalism, there's a lot of chaos that's going on. But if you have a well-functioning price system, it coordinates those resources in the best way possible to let people prosper. So that's why free market capitalism works over any other sort of system that we know of so far. So when you have this sort of ability to communicate information and value scarcity and demand, when the government intervenes with price controls, subsidies, bailouts, or tariffs, the knowledge is distorted. We must let markets work to do their job. Let prices work to let people prosper. That is how we're going to improve our lives and allow for us to have much better ways of and standard of living over time as well. That's all I have for you today. We need to learn more about prices and Econ 101 and basic economics, and that's what I hope to bring you here each and every time. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, you can find more information at vanceginn.com or go to my Substack newsletter and get a subscription, hopefully a paid subscription, at vanceginn.substack.com. Until next time, God bless you and let people prosper.